Greetings, degens, builders, and curious students. My name is Kirby, and today I'm going to show you how to set up, run, and use this lightweight application I created for viewing NFTs and their metadata directly on the Ethereum blockchain. Whether you're a seasoned developer looking to learn how to build NFT tools, or a newbie interested in understanding how the technology works, this should be a fun and relatively beginner-friendly experience. We're going to cover the purpose of the app, how to set up the development environment, a walkthrough of the app in action, a detailed breakdown of the code base, and opportunities for extending and improving the app in the future. Let's get started. The NFT Viewer app is built for simplicity. It allows users to view metadata and images for NFTs in a specified smart contract collection. This contract would be the Bored Ape Yacht Club, but you can input a different collection if you so choose. It displays the metadata in a nice, clean, readable format. As you can see, it's also in JSON format and includes the link to the image itself on IPFS. All of this is powered by Streamlit, which makes it lightweight and ideal for quick prototyping. Streamlit does a lot of the heavy lifting in the UI and front end. You're also going to need an Infura project ID to connect to the Ethereum blockchain. Caveat: Infura is now a part of MetaMask Developer, but if you go to infura.io, you can click this Get Started button, and it should be self-explanatory. So if you're a seasoned developer, this next section is going to be very beginner focused. So I recommend skipping forward to getting started, and obviously it's here if you need it. Now, before we do any coding, we need to get you all set up. If you go to python.org/downloads, you can download the latest version of the Python programming language. Now, there are some other tools you'll need to grab if you don't already have them, like Homebrew. On the README, if you scroll to the bottom, you will find these lovely terminal commands that'll help you quickly and easily install these tools like Homebrew, Git. Python you can actually do from the terminal if you so prefer. I love doing things from the terminal. It makes me feel like a true hacker. You also need VS Code or some sort of code editor. Sublime Text is another popular one. And really cool, you can just install the IPFS gateway with 3 little words right into your terminal. Xcode is kind of just a background thing that you might need if you don't already have that installed. Okay, so first I'm going to walk you through getting set up, installing all your dependencies. So if you're a total noob and you've never done any of this before, you want to pull up a terminal. I'm doing this on Mac, so I'm just going to go up to this little bubble here, type terminal. On Windows, this will be your command prompt or PowerShell. And if you're really wanting to get into development for Windows, you should actually look into getting Git Bash installed. It's more developer friendly. If you're on a Mac, all you need is terminal, much more simple. Okay, so first I'm going to type ls, and that's going to show the contents of my project directory. That stands for list, right? So you want to either create a projects folder right here in your main directory, or some people prefer to CD into their documents. So you would go CD documents, make sure you spell it with a capital D. And that would bring you your documents folder. I actually just do it in my root. So either way, whether you documents or here, you can actually CD to, so I'm going to CD to projects. You would do mkdir projects, and you would hit enter. That stands for make directory, and you're naming it projects. So that will create a folder called projects right in your main directory or your documents directory, whichever you prefer. So I'm not going to do that because I already did it. And then you will again do CD projects, hit enter, and that will bring you to your projects folder, and it will say projects right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do list again. I like to do that. You can see all the project folders I've set up. So if you're wanting to create a new project folder right here, again, mkdir, make directory, and we're going to call this NFT2. I'm calling it 2 because obviously I've already done this. You can call it whatever you want. For just easy purposes, you could call it NFT Viewer, your choice. So now we are in this new folder we created. If I hit LS again for list, it should show. Oh, sorry. No, first I need to CD into NFT2. And now you can see I'm in NFT2. Now, if I hit LS to list, it should be empty. Cool. Okay. So first, you want to install Homebrew. Homebrew is a package manager. It's awesome. It helps you do all kinds of developer stuff, mostly installing and updating packages and programs. Come here to the GitHub. You can see it's the first thing. It's this nice little curl command. You're going to copy that, paste it in. Sometimes it'll ask for a password. I'm going to hit enter, which tells it to go ahead and install this. So we're going to wait a minute while it does its magic. Okay, so I'm going to copy this command brew dash dash version. It is a simple command that just tells you the version of Homebrew you're running. So you can see here I'm running Homebrew 4.411. All right, so we're also going to install Xcode. I'm not going to do this because I already have it. I'm gonna first check the Python version I have because obviously I've already installed Python and it's showing 3.12. Now, specifically for this project, we want to use Python 3.10. It's an older version. Why would we do such an insane thing, use an older version, right? Well, the thing with software is it's constantly evolving. Tech is constantly evolving, constantly updating things, right? Well, that can wreak havoc for old dApps and everything that was built on a specific version, right? So a lot of times for stability, you need to use older versions for whatever reason. So for the specific setup we did with this, we need to use Python 10. I'm not going to, get too crazy in explaining it, but just so you know, sometimes for real world reasons, you have to use older versions. So for this, we're going to use 3.10. I'm going to go ahead and just install 3.10 here to show you. It's already here, so I don't need to reinstall it, right? Next will be Git. You don't need to check the Git version until after you install it. So first install, I'm not going to do it because I already have it. You also want to make sure you have a code editor. Visual Studio Code is the most popular. I already have it installed, obviously, and I'm just going to call it by doing this. This won't work for you if you're just downloading it. You have to go find a tutorial to learn how to set it up to respond to dot. But if you watch, yep, it just pops open. So I'm not going to do it for purposes of this video, but if you're wanting to do that, there are tutorials on it. You can go find it and you can get that set up. So here you can see it's just open to our folder, but there's nothing in it. Okay, so I'm going to just close that out for now. So once you have your required tools installed, that is Homebrew, the package manager, verify the installations here, Xcode, Python 3.10, and Git, as well as some sort of code editor, you'll be ready to clone the repository. So nothing in this repository as of now. All right, but I'm going to come down here and copy this Git clone link. Copy, paste it in, hit enter. As you can see, I now have the project in my NFT test folder. So I can CD into this. I just typed P and then hit tab and it filled it in, hit enter. So now I'm in this folder that we just cloned. So type LS again and look at what's in here. You can see there's a license. We have a README. nftviewer.py is your code and this lovely requirements.txt file. Once you have this cloned, you are ready to set up your virtual environment. If you look in the descriptions on our repository, you can scroll down to step 2, set up the environment. So first we're going to create a virtual environment. You can come in here, copy this, hit paste and enter. Takes a second, but it sets it up in the background. Now you've set it up, but you still need to activate it. So if you're on Mac, that is this command right here. Just copy it, paste, and hit enter. Now you can see we've activated the env. It'll be before your name or whatever your main directory's name is. You should see it in parentheses. So that's how you know it's activated. Once you've activated your environment, it's very important that you do this first. You can then install the requirements.txt file, which includes all of the project's dependencies. So go ahead, copy, paste, hit enter, and it's going to do its thing. Now that we have installed all of our dependencies, we can set up our env file. Now, this is very important because you do not want to put things like API keys into public code repositories. So what you need to do is create an environment variable file. I have included the code you need to create this without right-clicking and creating a folder. So you can actually just come in here and copy this, or you can type touch.env, and it will create an env file for you. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and open my code editor. You won't have this ability. I'm going to type code space dot and then hit enter. It's going to launch it for me. And it's nice because it opens it right to the directory that you're in your terminal. Otherwise, just right click open VS Code like you would any other program. Go to file, and then you can open a folder, a workspace, or a file. Open the project we downloaded, and it'll appear right here. You should see it like this and be able to access all the stuff within it. So make sure you don't open a directory before that. You want to make sure you open this directory here, the Python nft.viewer, so you can get access to all these files right here in the sidebar, okay? So env has appeared here. You notice you can't see it when you list because it's actually a secret file. So what you want to do is below, it has this Infura project ID equals. This is an environment variable. You want to paste this into your env file. Now, you will have to toggle back to Infura, sign up for your account, and it will give you an API key. For practical purposes, I am not going to show on screen me inputting my API key because that would reveal my secret. But you want to get that. It'll look like a string of characters, and you just paste it in right here. Just delete that. Delete this whole, your Infura project, just delete it and then paste it right there. It doesn't need to be in quotes or anything, but once you do that, you can go ahead and save the file. So I'm going to do that now, and we'll be right back. Okay, so the moment we've been all waiting for, actually running the application. So again, we have specified that we are running a special version of Python. If you do encounter an error when you run this, it most likely means that you're not actually running it in the proper version, Python 10, that we specified. And this can happen easily, so don't freak out. If it does, you'll just need to adjust some things. So let's go ahead and test this with this command, which again If we weren't running it in this environment to use the specific version, you wouldn't need this. You would just run streamlit run and then the file name. But we're going to run this full command here. And voila, you can see it instantly connects to the Ethereum mainnet. That was quite quick, actually. So pretty impressive. And right here, we can see it quite quickly fetches all of the metadata and the image. So that is our very simple real world dApp. It is connecting to the Ethereum blockchain, and we are viewing metadata. Now, this will be running local. Obviously, it's not online, so let's specify that. And if you want to stop the application in your terminal, you should be able to hit Control-C, and it'll stop it. So you can see stopping. And it is no longer. We can run it again. Voila, back up and running. Amazing. So if you want to try a different collection, again, you'll need to grab the contract address and the ABI. I'll show you that again. So your contract address is just right up here, up top, says contract, super easy, hit that. And you'll input that in the code, and then your ABI. You'll copy that. This will be the trickiest thing that you probably do, because you need to make sure you copy it, and you need to make sure it goes in JSON format, right? This is if you change it. I have actually included the specific ABI so that you don't have to do that. It should just run, but you will have to change that if you want to change the collection. Okay, so let's walk through the code for our application. This is a simple app that connects to the Ethereum blockchain, fetches data for a specific NFT or NFT collection, and displays it using Streamlit. So we're going to go through the code and explore the components step by step. First of all, at the top, we need to import necessary libraries and modules. Okay, so then we load the .env. So we load the environment variables from the .env file, which securely stores sensitive information, right? So that's where you have to input your Infura API key. We open the ABI.json file, which contains the application binary interface, or ABI for our smart contract. So with this JSON.load ABI file, it actually parses the ABI into a Python object. Okay, so then we will load the Infura project ID from your env. So you can see here it is pulling that get env, and it looks for your Infura project ID. And if it can't find it, Streamlit has this nice little error handling. You just call streamlit.error, and you put your error message in parentheses. It's that easy. Then this st.stop will halt everything if that's missing, so it doesn't just, continue to run all of the code without this very important component. Next, you connect to Ethereum. So we are actually assigning this variable here with this Infura gateway, and then it's telling it to look for your project ID. And then we use the Web3 library we imported to actually connect through this HTTP provider to the network. So then we have this nice if-else statement here, some business logic, if you will. So this will call is connected is either a method or a function. I would have to look at the documentation to be sure, but we are calling this method or function from the Web3 library. and we're invoking it. So streamlit.sidebar specifies where we're going to display the success message that is inputted into the parentheses. If it is not successful, that will trigger the else statement, and in the sidebar, it will display the error, failed to connect to Ethereum. Now, we have hard-coded the Bored Ape Yacht Club contract address into this code. So hard-coding things in projects is usually something you want to avoid. However, for the quick and dirty functionality of this app, it made sense. But if you wanted to, for example, build an application that could take in any contract, you would actually want to have a window for inputting this and create a variable for it to accept any contract address, right? But for this, the application doesn't go that far. It is hard-coded in here to only display the Bored Ape Yacht Club. We create a Web3 object, which allows us to call functions on this smart contract. So you see we established contract using the Web3 library, calling the Ethereum network .contract. So it looks for an address, a contract address, and an ABI, which are the specific points of data that we collected and imported earlier. Def in Python means that you are defining a function. We are calling that function fetch underscore metadata, and then the input is the token ID. So here we have what we call a try catch. We're going to try calling the token URI to get the URI of the NFT's metadata. We're defining this variable token URI. It's looking at the contract, looks for the token URI, and then looks for the input, and then it invokes it. Now the token URI, we replace the IPFS ... which is the IPFS protocol, with a public IPFS gateway. Now, why do we do this? The IPFS protocol is native to the IPFS system, right? Which is a decentralized protocol. So while this IPFS : is a standardized protocol, it's not directly supported by most web browsers or HTTP libraries like Python's request library, right? Python wasn't natively built to know what this means or how to deal with it, but it does know how to deal with standard HTTP requests, right? Then obviously we're going to get a response. So we're setting up this variable so that when it does requests and it calls the get function and looks, or the get method or function, and looks at the token URI, it's going to attach what it pulls to this response. So this response will equal this, essentially. And then we return it in JSON format, which is very important because that is a universal language that computers can read. Then we have an embedded if-else. So if the response.status code is 200, that's good, right? So it's checking to see if we get a 200 code, which means it worked. If it doesn't get 200, if anything else, then it's an error. So you can see exception as E. Then we call st.error like we did before, and we just get to input this cute little error message right here. Error fetching metadata is basically hard written, right? This won't change because it's the text within our F statement. But within F statements, we can write text and we can interpolate things, whether it be an error or another variable. So whatever you put in these curly brackets is dynamic. So it'll always read this, but this will change based on the results, if that makes sense. So now for the Streamlit UI. This sets the title of the app to nft.viewer, pretty self-explanatory. Then we add a numeric input field for the user to enter an NFT token ID. This is just some extra logic that helps it default to 1 and increments it by 1. That's why when you look at the application, it starts with 1. You can see when the app loads, it inputs this 1. So I can just go through with my little arrow right here. So that's a fun, useful little feature if you just want to browse through them all, right? If you reload it, it's just going to default to 1. So now this if statement is saying if st.button, that means if the user clicks the streamlit button, it will fetch the NFT. So then the fetch metadata function is called with the user provided token ID. And if the metadata is successfully fetched, we'll display the JSON. We then extract the image URL from the metadata and adjust it to use the IPFS gateway. If the image URL exists, we display the image in the app. Again, this app demonstrates how to integrate Streamlit, the Web3 Python library, and the interplanetary file system to create an interactive NFT viewer actually connected to the Ethereum network. While not an industry standard deployment method, it's an excellent hands-on way for Python developers or just beginners to explore blockchain development and NFT metadata interaction. If you want to get into real-world blockchain development, you want to learn tools like React, JavaScript, or even Rust. And that's a wrap. The full code is available on GitHub. Check out the link in the description below. And if you found this useful, give that like button a little tippity tap for me. And don't forget to subscribe for more blockchain dev and crypto-related content. Thanks for watching.